Kat and I have been talking about Instagram and kind of our own ebbs and flows of using Instagram. And we thought it's been a while since we've talked about Instagram specifically in an episode. So we thought we would share what's going on Instagram today, what tactics work now, and also share a little bit about what we are doing well on Instagram, what we're still personally struggling with, because as you know, it is a continuous game there. We don't just get to push autoplay. And so we want to give you some tips today and also let you know that you are not alone if you are struggling with Instagram right now. So I want to do a quick story. I want to tell a quick story, Kat, about my client. Her name is Stephanie Troy, and she's actually in Arizona. She's a real estate agent, and she has been having a lot of success within the last month of creating content specifically with keywords in mind. We kind of scrapped all of the other strategies we were trying to use and said, hey, let's just focus on using keywords in your content so that your content is really searchable. And since she's a luxury real estate agent in Scottsdale, we started to pull out headlines of things that are happening in Scottsdale. So like the Vanderpump restaurant is coming to Scottsdale. So that was kind of an exciting thing that got a lot of press. So she talked about it. She talked about how other hotels and buildings are coming up in Scottsdale. And she started talking about, investments in those things. And it really skyrocketed her engagement. She got one, this is actually on TikTok, but she got the one about the Vanderpump restaurant opening, got almost 100,000 views on TikTok. And previously she only has like 1,700 followers. So it's not a follower thing, it's an interest thing. So that was just us being really specific and strategic on picking out literally keywords. She's saying the words are on the screen, the words are in the caption, and it's helping the algorithm know who to show that content to. I also yesterday saw this TikTok actually, and it said, the person, I wish I knew her name because I'd love to give her credit, but I don't. But it was really valuable. She said, instead of thinking about it like social media, like I used to in the past, I'm thinking about it like interest media. And I think that's a really great delineation because we still want you to build relationships on Instagram. I think that's still the primary way that people are connecting with leads, getting referrals, and like growing their business. I think having that network of people who support you is still where it's at. But if you're thinking about growing on Instagram, thinking about honing in on people's interests, answering the questions that your ideal audience has before they have to ask them is really where it's at. And that means you have to be creating content that is interest based. I know that to be true because since I'm a mom of a 7-month-old, I only get content about babies and teething and what they need when they're starting to crawl, because that's what I am spending the most time on Instagram currently. That's what I am searching for. So the algorithm understands and is feeding me not people I know. It's feeding me content that's answering my questions.
It's looking at your social as a visual search engine like Google. I can't remember where I first heard this, but it was in an article, or maybe it was some research I did for a workshop that, we did, where it said that Gen Z's Google is TikTok.
100%.
Right? And not even Gen Z's, mine too, yours too. You would share with me how you would find all of the recipes that you wanted to try at home on TikTok. You didn't find them on Google.
Made one yesterday.
Boom, there we go, right? Even as recently as yesterday.
Yes.
So it's like, yes, still use the platform to connect, but look at your content not as social media content, but visual Google search results. What would be exciting? The title of your reel, the body of your captions, a little mini Google article. And what I even love too doing, which it's so funny, we used to apply this strategy to SEO and blog content, right? But now we're applying to social media content, where you would type into Google, let's say if you're a real estate agent, good neighborhoods or good school districts for high schoolers, right? In XYZ zip code, right? If your potential clients are Googling that, And then Google also has this section where it says, okay, this is the question that was asked. People are also asking. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
related additional questions. So you have like 4 or 5 pieces of content ideas right there. And Google has even now has a video or image, no, it's a video tab where it's like they have the all, they have the
Yes.
images, they have the video, they have the shopping. They have a
Mm-hmm.
video tab where your social content can be grabbed and placed on Google search results, and people will go straight from Googling to your social media profile, not because you talked about your
Yep.
brand pillars or your messaging, but because the title and the keywords were there that aligned with their Google search. It's massive.
It's
Massive. Probably
massive.
the
And
biggest
you,
change, right? I've
yes,
seen.
and you need to be paying attention to it if you want to grow with intention on
Right.
Instagram, because it's not just being funny or one-off entertainment. It's really being serious about making sure that you know exactly what your audience wants and needs to hear from you, and
Mm-hmm.
you're packaging it well so that it can show up in front of the right person. And that doesn't mean that you don't get to have fun on Instagram. Because I think sometimes people worry that, oh, like, does that mean I can't share a picture from the pumpkin patch of my family? And like, no, we still want to see that. But the
Yeah.
people who want to see that are people who already know you, like you and trust you. They're your
Mm-hmm.
family and your friends and your past clients and people, who already have somewhat of a relationship with you, and you want to continue that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about growing to strangers on the internet, that photo is not going to help you. It's serving its purpose, but we need to be thinking about interest based, SEO based, keyword based content.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny that you just said like speak to strangers on the internet, because this is like a side note, but it's still relevant, right? So I was um, on Instagram this morning, and an interview with Simon Sinek and another woman. She's a PhD. I can't remember her specific subject matter, but he had asked her, what is the most important skill that Gen Z could hone in today's workplace? And she said, learn to talk to strangers.
Oh, wow.
Because
Yes.
learning to talk to strangers teaches you improvisation, it's spontaneity, it's serendipity, it's the unknown. And I
Well,
feel
also,
that
they're saying that the new generations aren't talking to humans anymore because they
they're just
are
in their phones all the
on their
time.
device. Yep, their
Right.
phone, their iPad, or whatever. They're just like on their devices,
Yeah.
on computer screens all day long, but they're
Hmm.
not really talking to strangers in real life anymore.
Hmm. So I share that because it's important to grow, right? Growing gives you new opportunity. You get to meet new people. You get to turn strangers into friends. And also bookend this strategy with deepening your relationships and connecting and grounding in the relationships of the people who are already connecting with you. And I love and still love, and I still see it as really relevant to do that on Instagram stories, where it's really low lift and it feels
Hmm.
like a FaceTime from a friend. And so
Yep.
it's not like you always have to be in growth mind, growth mind, growth mind. Do that, but then also follow it up with being good to those people so that they want to stay. Not that just so you got them to come in the
Yes.
door, but they want to stay for the party too, you know?
There's also some people who I might find they're real. So, like, for example, I was looking at sheet pan dinners the other day because I was like, I need something fast with minimal
Yeah.
cleanup, right? A sheet pan
Mhm.
dinner, everything goes on one sheet. That's easy. So I was looking for that and I found a ton of recipes. I tried one yesterday. It was delicious, but I couldn't tell you the name of the woman who I got the recipe from.
Isn't that wild?
Hmm. It's so wild. And so that also tells you that it's not just interest either, right? You have
Mhm.
to have both because cool, I went on her page, I found, or, she came up in my search. She made a great recipe. I liked it, I hope. I doubt I commented. My family enjoyed the dinner and I'll never see her again.
Right.
Right? Is that crazy?
Yeah.
I doubt I followed her.
Right. You can't even remember
Right.
her
And so
name. It's
I
just
don't I
like,
don't know her name, right?
yep.
I couldn't tell you too much about how she looks. I think she was a brunette. That's all I got.
Hmm.
I don't know anything about her, her personality, her life. I just got the thing I needed and left. So
Mm.
that tells you something about you need to think about both things. You need to think about strengthening relationships and being memorable, and you need to think about creating interest-based content that's highly searchable.
Hmm.
And it's now that I've watched her video all the way through, I likely bookmarked it. It's likely that I will get served up her content again, and
Right,
maybe
because
I'll
you
get to know
saved
her
it.
over time because I saved it. I liked it. So I put it in one of like, I've made a recipes, category
Folder.
or folder. Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
so it's likely that she'll come back up in my feed and I'll have an opportunity to then decide to follow or decide to comment. Um, but I didn't on the first interaction. So that's something to
Mhm.
think about. Think about the way you are currently using Instagram. Are you commenting, liking, following, saving, sharing? Probably not. And if you want people to do those things, then you need to be the person who does those things.
Mhm. Oh, that answers the age-old question of how do I get more engagement, right? I answered
Yeah.
this legitimately 37 minutes ago before we hopped on this recording session, where somebody was reflecting back to me that it was a great idea that I recommended that they engage in this way. And they said, yes, because I notice I don't do that very often. I see other people doing it and I want to start doing it. And I'm like, absolutely. Because like in life and in business, you reap what you sow. So if you want
Mhm.
more engagement, be the person that engages. And I had said this on a prior episode, and I think I got it from Giselle first. No, I think it was Chelsea, our friend Chelsea Pites, who's in your neck of the woods now until you go back
Yeah.
to San Diego, or maybe you just live throughout the Southwest US. Who knows?
I don't know what's happening.
Um,
Yeah.
where Chelsea has this thing about saying that comments are a form of content.
Yes.
And people see engagement as just like, oh, I have to go comment and like and pretend to like do something, or what do I say, instead of thinking of their comment as something meaningful and an extension of that piece of content. Because I've had
Yep.
comments go viral and people follow up with me, people in my DM saying, hey, I found you through that comment you left on Tori Dunlap's reel. I really appreciate your point of view and it's so cool what you're doing. And I was like, holy shit, from a
Yep.
comment, you know?
From a comment. Yeah. I mean, there's some comments that have, thousands of likes on them. And I'm sure people are clicking back to see who's that person who made that comment that
Mm-hmm.
was insightful or funny or added to the conversation. And so, yeah, absolutely. Chelsea says that comments are content. I love it.
Yeah.
So right now we're seeing a lot of carousel posts on Instagram. I think
Mm-hmm.
Adam Mosseri was talking about, carousel posts being important. The reason they're important is it keeps people on the app, and that's what Instagram really cares about. So Reels, if you watch them all the way through the end, you're staying on the app. Carousel posts, if you're swiping through, it's taking time. You're staying on the app. That's what Instagram cares about. So carousel posts are really a simple, low lift way to get more engagement and
Mm-hmm.
trigger the algorithm to see that people are staying on your content longer. And there's a trend right now where people are just using the exact same photo and using text on the photo and
Like
telling a
this, if you
story.
guys are watching it.
There you go. So Kat has an example where she's sitting in a car and she has text on screen. And if you go all the way through, so she's using different photos, but you can also use the exact same photo
Mm.
and put text on the screen and tell a story or make a point.
Hmm.
It's a great way to keep people
There's us.
engaged in your content. There's us, Not Nice Clever. I love it. At our
Yes.
first Not Nice Clever photo shoot.
3 years
But
ago now. That is wild.
that is great. That is such a great way to keep people engaged and kind of swiping through.
Hmm.
Even easier if you just use the same exact photo and still keeps people wanting to learn more with each swipe. So that's
Hmm.
something that I'm definitely adding to my strategy. I've essentially kind of been off of Instagram for, I don't know, since I had Isla pretty much like 7 months now.
Yeah.
And I keep saying I'm going back and I'll like post one time and then not for 3 weeks and then
I saw the
post
one
again.
where you were
Yeah.
like, you were showing up on the reel. It's like, who does she think she is showing up on Instagram after ghosting her audience for 6 months like nothing
Right.
happened?
Right. That was me. Yep.
I love
I
that you
did
were
that.
owning that,
That one.
you're like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
uh,
Um, so, we all go through this and it's okay. The great thing about it is that my business has still been amazing. And it's because of all the time and effort and energy that I put in to social media before to build real life relationships that are still sending me business. Right.
mhm.
Um, so if you have not been on Instagram and you're feeling kind of weird about getting back on because you're going to think people are going to be like, oh, who does she think she is? Like, just join in the conversation again. just do it anyways. No one cares. Everyone's just like
No
living
one's
their own life right
noticing.
now. No one's
Yeah.
noticing, right? And if anything, the people who are noticing you come back are people who are already your friends, already your fans, already excited to see you. So I
Mhm.
would let that go. But carousels, just like the one Kat showed you, are really great right now. You will likely see a lot of engagement. If you are sharing something that's helpful, you'll see a lot of shares. If you want to come back to that type of content, they'll be able to come back to it to reference it, shares and saves.
Mhm. And when it comes to designing, so this is something I had shared right before we, no pun intended, right before we hit record on this episode, about me being in transition from one content manager to a new social media marketing intern that I want to bring on. And it's been really humbling for me to go back to designing all of my posts and editing them and putting them out there. And I really enjoyed doing it even before I had an agency once upon a time. But you can, and I've seen a lot of people do this. I don't know if Candace, if you've seen this, but with those carousels, either if it's the same photo that you're using or a bunch of different photos, design and add the caption in Instagram stories and then save that as a photo. You don't need
Oh
to
yeah.
have it designed in
You don't have to use
Canva. It doesn't have,
Canva. No.
no Canva, just purely design it in Instagram stories, save that as a photo, right?
Well, now Instagram, so I know Instagram is changing all the time, but now
All the
Instagram will
time.
just let you inside your carousel making posts. So I'm going on Instagram right now. I just push the plus sign, push post, and then I'm choosing the multiple photo icon. It's like two squares kind of. I'm
Mhm.
picking
Oh my
multiple
God, you can add
photos.
text in here.
You can
I
add
had no
text in
idea.
there. That's new
What the?
ish. Yeah. So now, oh no, this is like a picture of my husband, but here's a picture, and
Oh, I
right here
remember you shared that
below
on stories the other night.
I can just add text right there. So that's new. You couldn't do that before.
I
Newish.
had no idea. Okay, ignore what I just said, Clever Crew. Do it straight in the carousel creation
Carousel
portion.
creation. Yep. So you don't have to use
What
Canva
the?
anymore at all. And then the other thing that's new is you this is great for I work with a lot of real estate agents, as you know. This is great for my agents who are always asking me, Candace, like, should I make my content in English or Spanish? Because they work in markets that have,
Serve
a
both.
lot of
Yeah.
exactly have served both. And so they were sometimes making two different videos, one in English, one in Spanish, which is fine and it works. But now there's literally just a button that you can push on Instagram that'll translate your video to Spanish, and it'll actually dub your lips so it looks like you are speaking that
Crazy.
language. So I think there's actually, don't quote me on this, you're gonna have to check for yourself, but I think there's a couple languages, but not a ton of
All
options.
of them yet.
Yeah, not all of them yet, but I
Is there
know Spanish
Japanese?
is definitely one of them. I don't know, Kat. I don't want to like say the wrong thing, but I for sure know
Okay.
Spanish is an option, and I think
Okay.
there's a couple more. Um, but that's really exciting for people who are in markets that they serve both populations and um, I know some of my clients, especially clients in Florida and in Southern California, are already
Mm-hmm.
hopping on that.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And another thing that I wonder we would have to look into this. There's brief caveat before we like continue even further. If you are feeling overwhelmed or fatigued by how much the algorithm has changing, just pick one thing that we have said today and try
Yeah.
that. Come back to this episode. This episode will be here for you. We're not going anywhere. We're always going to be putting out really interesting conversations and insights on all things branding, marketing, money, and manifesting. I just want to say that for the crowd because the fact that I just learned
Yes.
live of a better way to edit the carousels blows my
Right.
mind. And Candace, you and I are in this industry, you know?
Yes. It's hard
So
to keep up with everything that is new. Um, I I know I was looking for something in stories the other day, and I was like, it's not where they don't have it anymore. I thought it was gone. It just like moved it. They just moved it. They
right.
just decided one day, no notice, just like wake up and you're like, oh, we just
Rude.
decided to move this. Yeah. But following Adam Masseri has helped me a lot. So if you guys don't know, we'll put his Instagram in the show notes. He's the head of
Mhm.
Instagram, and he often goes live and answers questions, or he does Q&As oftentimes in his stories where he answers like what's coming up, questions
Mhm.
from users. And if you want to know like in real time what's being rolled out, he's always announcing it just before it's rolling out. So that's a great place to feel like you're keeping up. but also it's okay to not know 100% of all of the features and still use what you can.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
what we had said. We've said this multiple times on the podcast. I said this on Dustin's podcast, Massive Agent, how the Gary V's and Alex Hormozzi's of the world would talk about short form content be on all platforms multiple times a day, every single day a week. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. And it's just like, damn, like that's a lot. And
Yeah.
also not true for a lot of people. Like Candace, you and I, the clients we work with, we're focusing in on one or two platforms, getting that to a good place, tweaking,
Yep.
experimenting, and then we weave in something.
Absolutely. Yes. So with my client Stephanie, who I was talking to you about earlier, who's doing really well with interest-based content on TikTok and Instagram. So we started working together, I want to say maybe about 4 months ago, and she's feeling good about TikTok and Instagram and has a rhythm. And so today was the first day that we started talking about what would it look like if we use some of the same topics we're using on TikTok and Instagram and start putting them on LinkedIn. And we decided to do some A/B testing, but that's like 4 months in on getting really clear and finally feeling some momentum
Hmm.
before we even talked about layering in something else. And
Hmm.
in that, we also talked about getting her help, not just her doing it herself. Like, let's
That was my first
hire
thought. I'm like,
someone.
have you thought about an
Yeah.
assistant? It's
So,
always bandwidth,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And the funny thing is that I think some people, when they hear the word assistant, they're like, oh my gosh, like I need to hire someone. It's going to cost me $3,000 a month to like have a full-time assistant. And like, no, do your research. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be that. And like I have one assistant in my business who she does only stuff for my design studio, and she just works for me 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week is my design studio assistant, and that's all I need.
Hmm.
And so you can have like highly specialized support in just a few hours a week that totally changes your energy levels because
Hmm.
you're not doing it anymore. So if you're that person who's feeling like you're stuck on repurposing content or you're stuck on editing content, you can hire someone for 5, 10 hours a week, maybe if that. Maybe you need to hire them for less than that. There's
Hmm.
an opportunity for that, and you can find someone most likely in your budget to help you with those things.
That's it.
That's it.
There was one thing I wanted to add. So, okay, so other features too. Like we did the caveat if you're feeling
Hmm.
overwhelmed, start with just start with one recommendation that we're making. The other cool update since we last did a what's working on and helping you grow on Instagram is mixed media carousels. So I've had a lot of fun with this. Carousels historically have been like Instagram's version of like the Facebook photo album dump, right? And
Hmm.
now I, having learned as of 12 minutes ago, you can add text to your
Hmm.
carousel in the post. You can also mix up different video clips and photos in the same carousel. So,
Yep.
you know, there's always that idea of having the first photo set the expectation. What is it? What's the thing that somebody's going to get if they give you their time to go through this? So you can have that cover photo that's super clear, right, on what it is. And then
Yep.
they'll swipe, and then it's a clip of you from that same reel or that same
Yeah.
clip, and then different
Event. Yeah.
elements of it. It's so much fun to play with. Candace, have you started messing around with this? Because I feel like this is new as of like a few months ago.
Yeah, no, so I always do what I call an event recap post. So at Forward or any event that we go to, I have BAM coming up soon.
Hmm.
Um, Usually I start it with my face in front of the branding of the event. So in front of a step and repeat or something like that.
Hmm.
That's the beginning of the carousel. And then all the way through the carousel, you'll see photos of me with human beings that I enjoy and love. And then you'll also see clips of things that are going on stage or the room in general or the vibe in general. So there'll be video clips. And I think about telling the story of the event through my eyes through
Hmm.
that carousel post. And I use it pretty much every time I call it an event recap. I actually shared it in our Sell It community yesterday, like exactly what I do and what I think about. I tag the location, I tag the hosts of the event, anyone or maybe a speaker. And when I'm doing it, I'm thinking about two things. I'm thinking about one, showing gratitude because events are hard. People like they take a lot of
They're
time,
a lot.
energy, money. It's a lot. So you want to acknowledge the people who created that experience for you. So gratitude. And then the other thing is positioning. I also want you to see that I'm in the room with a lot of really cool people. And I get to be in that room because I took time out of my schedule. I made an investment in myself. I've been working for years to put myself in rooms like that, to be able to take pictures with people who've been on our podcast or people who I want to be on our podcast. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I put myself in rooms where someone is going to introduce me to that next person who's going to be our podcast guest. So I want people to see that on a larger scale than the, 2 to 500 people I'm at the event with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just what's happening there. It's like also my followers can see that this is what I do with my time and energy and money. And so positioning it really, really helps you. And using that mixed media is a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm. One thing that might be out of date, because I have not seen it come across Missouri's desk. You and I, it hasn't come up in like our just conversations. But again, along the lines of less is more, I still get asked from time to time about Instagram highlights. And I don't really
Mhm.
think that they are as prominent as they used to be. That's my instinct. But do you have any data offhand?
So, yeah. So, Adam, I'm glad you asked, Kat, because Adam
Thank you.
Sari
I was like, this is a
recently
podcast
said
where we're
that
talking about it.
that highlights are going to go away in the way that we are used to seeing them. And
Okay.
highlights are going to be more like a tab. So, right now we have like the feed posts, the
The bubble.
reels, yeah, the like those kind of tabs. The highlight bubbles are likely not going to be there for much longer, according
Mm.
to Adam, probably about as of a month ago or so.
Hmm.
And they already are testing it in some places. And so that is definitely going away. I think that they just, I don't know. I think people can't keep up with them.
All right, no, I'm taking
I
that off my
definitely can't.
Q4 spring cleaning, or not spring cleaning, winter cleaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm
Just
gonna,
gonna
of course,
just
go
gonna
to
move that.
ChatGPT and see if there's an update on that because
Omvi, as
I
she
saw
is
that
right now after
recently.
watching us on YouTube, which I love. We want to bring you the real real.
Yep.
Yeah, that was on my Q4 roadmap, was to
Redo
update my
those. I don't think you
highlights,
have
and
to
I'm
do
like,
those.
meh,
Yeah.
yeah, say
Yep.
less. I got plenty of other shit to do.
It says they're not going away, but their placement and their visibility are definitely changing.
AKA being
It says
minimized.
they're moving, not vanishing. So it says
Hmm.
the highlights are the circles that you typically see under your bio. They're being relocated to a dedicated tab on the profile marked by a heart-shaped icon rather than staying above the grid. So if we're going here,
Yeah, I'm gonna remove that from my roadmap.
yeah, you don't
It
need
sounds like
that.
deprioritization, and there's so
It
many other
definitely
things on
does.
Instagram that are working well for me. So
Yep.
I'm just like,
So I think it's going to be one of
it'll be like
these.
one of
There's
those
going to be a
tabs. Yeah.
heart. Yep.
Hmm. Like how on business profiles they have like the shopping tab, right?
Yes. It says, why
Yeah.
the change? Adam Asseri explained that the goal is to simplify and declutter the profiles, giving more surface area to current content. Above the fold, an editorial term that refers to like a newspaper, right? Of before you have to
Oh gosh, how
unfold
much
it.
longer until people won't know what that is?
I know, crazy. So above the fold, when we're talking
Lighting
about
a
websites, we're
candle.
basically talking about like
Yeah.
before we have to scroll, you know?
Right. The first frame, right? First
The first
frame, first
frame.
impression
Exactly. Yes. It says,
for our Gen Z people.
let me read this again. So Adam Asseri
Yep.
explained the goal is to simplify and declutter profiles, giving more surface area to current content above the fold, while still preserving highlights functionality, though he admitted that the idea is contentious and it might not work long term. I don't know. Rollouts begin in late 2024, so it's already started. It says by the end of 2025, the update is expected to reach all users.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm still deprioritizing into my roadmap. I got other
Yeah.
things I want to experiment with and have fun with.
Yeah. Also, like, there's some people who are mad about it in ChatGPT.
When are there not people who are mad? Just
Right.
the
Yes.
freaking keyboard warriors, like drink a matcha, take a deep breath, stretch your body,
Relax.
and stop projecting. Okay, so good to know about Instagram highlights. That's lovely. um, oh, this is one thing too that I really, okay, I don't know if, well, I'm just going to call it, I'm going to call it on the go content in your stories. So, like, you do the feed version of that with the event recap. Obviously, you and I are so lucky we get to travel like 1 to 2 times a month, whether it's us attending or us speaking at events. And I love taking our communities along for the ride in our Instagram stories, like
Yep.
doing the airport fit checks that you created and checking
Yes.
into the hotel and going to the conference. But even if you are not in a season in your life when you can do that, you can still do
Yeah.
on the go content in your Instagram stories,
Absolutely.
like heading to the grocery
Yeah.
store, picking up your morning coffee, walking your dog, like content that feels like it has movement. I always see a spike in my
Yes.
story views, my replies. Do you see the same thing, Candace?
100%. Yeah, movement is key in your content. And sometimes I get caught up on that in my mind because I'm not moving as much anymore, especially with Isla. Like I'm working
You're only
from
casually
home,
growing a
she's
human. I mean,
home.
just
Yeah, exactly. Like we're not going anywhere. Like I like use my car on the weekends to go to Target. Other than that, I'm like not driving anywhere.
yeah,
Um, so I kind of get stuck in my head, but I remind myself that movement doesn't have to mean that you're on the go. Sometimes, like in Scottsdale, I can't really go on walks because it's like 110 degrees.
yeah.
Yet I
Fry
will
an
be
egg.
able to go on walks again. But
Yes.
but if you're like me right now and you're kind of feeling stuck and you're like, but I work from home, Candace, and it's 110 degrees outside. I can't go for a walk, whatever. I'm not leaving my house as much as I want to. Then movement can be making a smoothie. Movement can
Mm,
be, eating your lunch. Movement can be something small like walking, into your closet at home. It doesn't have to be like this big thing or even
yep.
outside. And this is a reminder to myself that movement can be like you're doing your makeup while you're talking. I haven't mastered that. Those people are just
No,
queens.
I
I bow
poked
down to
myself in
them.
the
That's
eye the last
impossible.
time I tried that. It was
Yeah,
horrible.
that's not a thing for me.
No,
I
no.
can pretend to put on lip gloss and that's about it. But some people are really great at that. Like you can be literally pouring yourself some iced tea. It doesn't matter. That
Mm,
counts as movement. So don't get too caught up just because you're not going to something cool.
yeah.
You can still have movement in your stories and it will increase your engagement.
Yes. Simple stuff, guys.
But
Less
also
is
go to cool
more.
things.
Also, yes.
Both.
Also invest in yourself. Never stop investing in yourself. Oh, okay. This is a little like nugget I can leave our clever crew with. So it was Carousel on Instagram from Sahil Bloom. Do you follow him,
I don't think
Candace?
so, but I will.
SAHILBLOOM.
Mm-hmm.
He's was introduced to me by our friend Andrew Flackner at Real Scout, and he came out with this New York Times bestselling book called The 5 Types of Wealth, and he always puts together these really insightful carousel graphics. So the one graphic
Oh
that
yeah,
is
I
coming to
see.
mind with you saying like invest in yourself is that it showed the charts over time of how often we spend with our parents, how often we spend with our children, our spouses, our colleagues, and ourself. And
Mm,
the chart that showed the group that you spend the most amount of time with out of those 5 groups is yourself.
mm.
Over the course of your life, you spend the most time with yourself. So make sure you appreciate yourself, love yourself, invest in yourself. Also, it's just a social media app. Have fun. Find a way to have fun.
Yeah,
Get a friend to do it.
have
It doesn't have to be
fun.
this life or death technological monster, you know?
It really doesn't. Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow Not Nice Clever wherever you listen to audio.
And if you haven't already, drop that 5-star review.
Share your takeaways. Tell us your story. We love to hear it.
Signing off, you're not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.